First and foremost, this is a sobering reminder of the 72 lives that we did not need a report to tell us were needlessly lost on that night in a fire that never should have happened.
The call for justice is not just a call for people to be jailed. Of course, that's very significant. The call for justice is for change. This council should have been in special measures the day after the fire, right? And they should still be in special measures after this report. When is that going to happen? When will this cabinet be sacked?
The Grenfell Tower fire, the 72 lives needlessly lost, the scars on the Grenfell community are a result of political decision after political decision after political decision. And any recommendations and how they're implemented will not address that issue until every single one of those political decisions is completely reversed, and they are directed from profit towards people. And the Fire Brigade Union will continue to listen, first and foremost, listen to the community of Grenfell and those affected.
They are box-ticking exercises, nothing ever happens. We need action now. And as for the media, don't just come around when there's a report. Don't just come around when there's something salacious in this community. Make sure you follow what everybody is going through. This isn't new. These people are living in dangerous buildings all around our land.
There was another part of the emails that were from the companies that were responsible for this tragedy. And one of the parts in it, I read it about 50 times, I couldn't believe this, and I'm sorry for the swearing, but that's how they wrote it. Philip Heath, the senior manager of Kingspan, one of the companies responsible, when they were challenged about the scaffolding by another company, wrote, "Winter can go fuck themselves, and if they're not careful, we will sue the arse out of them." So what kind of negligence is this? This is a murder.
Secure justice for those who died and all those people. We must examine the report line by line. They're going to be there for fucking years, alongside the evidence from the criminal investigation. As I said, the strongest possible evidence. I can't pretend to.
They just need to get back the data that was wiped from the bloody hard drives, mate. Like, come on.
Well, the investigation into the criminality and what we call the corporate massacre of our neighbours and loved ones in the Grenfell Tower fire should have begun from the very next day after the fire. You know, the inquiry has lasted for 7 years. Why they couldn't have run the criminal investigation in parallel to this is a mystery to me. What I was told today by Richard Millett, who's King's Counsel and who was the lead lawyer in the inquiry, was that they may be ready, however, they have to be able to get into the courts in time, and there's a massive backlog in the British courts at the moment because of COVID. So that was the reason he gave me. For the community, however, we strongly believe that this is just a delay to deny us justice. That's what we believe. We also have very little confidence in the Metropolitan Police. They can hardly solve a damn burglary. So let alone this highly complex case, as they say, the most complex case they've dealt with in their history. But we need some political will from this government to speed up the process and to give the community the justice they deserve.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, what could the people do to speed this up, to get the government, to get everyone to...
Well, we need to actually send a message to Parliament in our numbers, in our hundreds, in our thousands, the way that they have done for Palestine, to say it loud and clear, and so the media can hear it, that we want these investigations, we want the criminal charges laid as soon as possible.
What do I think of the police statement, Metropolitan Police statement? Well, my main criticism is there was a real lack of sort of urgency of obtaining evidence in the first place, in the first instance after the fire. Why it took so long, I can only imagine there was disinterest. My main gripe is that people in these organisations, in TMO, in RBKC behind us, you know, there were people that actively wiped their hard drives. So how is that, you know, how is that okay? It's not okay. This delay is just more delays. We've seen enough delays. The police need to actually put out criminal charges now. I realise I've got a cigarette in my hand. Yeah, criminal charges. We're not being quiet. We're not going away peacefully. This community has suffered enough. The bereaved family members have suffered enough. The survivors have suffered enough. And really we need action, and that action, as Moira just said, is to do with, you know, getting on the street, making our voices heard. The media come around when there's something salacious, and that isn't good enough. You know, the media need to be on this. This is a nationwide issue. This is there's a housing scandal. It's not a crisis, it's a scandal. And the government are behind this. You know, there's people sitting in the House of Lords freely now, you know, Eric Pickles, Gavin Barwell, you know, there's Boris Johnson, you know, there's people with blood on their hands here, you know, and this is before we even get into these organizations, these corporations like Celotex, Arconic, Ryden, Saint-Gobain, who owns Celotex, who else is there? Studio E. There's a whole list that are within these documents, these thousands of documents. Now, for the inquiry to mean anything, unlike all the other inquiries that have gone before, this can't be just a way of placating people. This has got to be with some firm action. This has to mean change. These families that have lost, you know, actually no person has lost people. These people were stolen. You know, these lives were stolen. Nobody lost their lives. They were murdered. You know, and this is criminal. It's a criminal charges, and nobody will rest in this community until people are behind bars. And the police have got to not drag their feet on this. To rebuild trust in any community in this country right now, the police have to take action, and that's it. We're asking for action. Thank you.
So what do you think about the decision today?
I think it's not unexpected, but it's obviously not enough for people who have been directly and indirectly affected by the Grenfell disaster. I think everyone understands that investigations, especially if they are to be done properly, take time. However, the fact that this has gone on for so long and there is such a significant body of evidence of not just negligence but malpractice, I think it's very hard for people to reconcile why this is taking so long, and it definitely should, they should continue at pace rather than keep issuing statements and saying, oh, it will take us another 18 months. This is too long. These people have been waiting for justice for way too long, and something has to be done, which is better than today's statement.
I think the statement by the police today is really terrible. It extends the uncertainty, it extends the period of time in which the guilty ones are not being brought to book, and doesn't really give a proper timescale for that to take place. So this is a terrible thing to happen to people who've survived this terrible incident, to then go through 7 years to get as far as we got today, to have the end of the public inquiry, where we still have no decision being made on prosecutions, and the decision on whether there will be prosecutions being held out to some indefinite date over the next few years. So I think it's really poor, and I'm sure that people are feeling very angry about it. We've already heard this today at this meeting, how angry people are feeling. There's a sense of vindication in terms of what the contents of the report are. There's a sense of perhaps frustration and disappointment, and also a sense of anger which is still there. And it's that anger which drives forward this campaign to change the things which allowed this terrible atrocity to take place. That hasn't happened yet. Quite frankly, a lot of the things which allowed the atrocity to take place are still in our society and are becoming even deeper and more dangerous for people. But this is part of the struggle to change all that.
Will remember what they were doing on the 14th of June 2013. I do. Some of the members of the Fire Brigade Union, they will also remember what they were doing on the 14th of June 2013. We marched from Bethnal Green to City Hall on the 14th of March 2013, and we were calling on Boris Johnson, the lying, serial liar, vile man that he is, to stop the cuts to the Fire Brigade Union, to stop the cuts to the fire service, to stop the cuts of the fire stations. That man did not listen to us. On the 13th of November 2002, I walked around London with hand-printed leaflets, because on the 2nd of November 2002, the Fire Brigade Union were on strike for 48 hours. And when Grenfell happened, the community called out for volunteers. I answered that call. I came to Grenfell, I stood with the Fire Brigade Union, as I always have. And I stood with this community. And because I was so passionate and so informed about the Gag Action Group blog, the media, especially Jon Snow and LBC, and I will say Gabrielle Pogrund and Andrew Gilligan, tried to split this community with lies, with fabricated stories, with set-ups. I stopped that. I personally stopped that because they tried to involve me. And I'll tell you what now, doesn't matter how long, it does not matter how long it takes. I will stand with this community in the Fire Brigade Union until my last dying breath. Because justice should be for all. And what this government needs to do is listen to whistleblowers. Because the people that wrote that gag blog, in my eyes, were whistleblowers. And I stood and I said to Jon Snow, you didn't come here before when they were blogging about the dangers of the Grenfell Tower, because that was not newsworthy. You come here now, they're dead. Why? And the media still do not listen to whistleblowers. They do not listen to the ordinary man or woman in the street. And that has got to change as well. Solidarity with all of you forever. Thank you.